Hello and welcome everyone, I am Madals and this is another StarCraft 2 England cast. Today I've got a best of one game. It is between dSeleCT, who is the red Terran player in the top right, who's playing against RenegaDe, the blue Zerg in the lower left. That means it is a TvZ Zerg versus Terran. The map is Daybreak, and well, Daybreak is an awesome map. I'm really looking forward to it. It's got quite a large rush distance. It's got a natural base that isn't too hard to defend. It's got a third which is both easy to take but can be a little bit hard to keep safe just due to this large area here and the running and the fact it's so far away. It's got these useful rocks here, which means that defending your natural if you move forward to the choke can be very effective. And obviously there's the rocks in the middle of the map which can be taken down in the mid to late game to allow really quick reinforcements and pressuring of this center fourth base location. So what can we expect from these two players? Well, being a ZBT, I expect from the Zerg we'll get a 15 hatch into a 16 pull. From the Terran we will most likely see a 1 racks command center opening. Really good because it means that you're on equal bases with the Zerg and force them into a position either where they have to take a quick third or put on some 2 base pressure. Neither of those things is something that Zerg really wants to do against Terran, and really it works out quite nicely for you. It also gives the option of course getting a third command center in base just to really pile on the economic pressure, and still it's not much harder to defend. So we'll wait and see exactly how Select goes. We'll probably see some reactor Hellions as well at some point because they are just so potent, especially when this third base starts coming into play. Hellions can really be utilized effectively because there's no way to really close this amount of area up, and if you're poking into the naturals and Hellions into the third, it can be so strong. Anyway, back to the game and what is actually happening. We've got the 15 hatch out, just as to be expected. We've not got too much else going on. We should see a spawning pool shortly as the money comes up. Already we've got Select there with the barracks just about to finish, so he should start the orbital command, and then he's already got the SCV down there ready to start making that command center. So everything really going very effectively right now, and it's pretty much where both players would want to be. Obviously the scouting Overlord just sitting back there. The other thing you can do with this Overlord, for anyone wondering, is you can actually run it all the way back and put it up here. It's something that you do see the odd Zerg player do, and I actually think it's a better place to put it because that gives you information about this gas timing and also just how many workers and things they've got. So there's a really good place, and then your third Overlord can actually come down and sit up here. So definitely something to consider there, guys. We've got an SCV coming into the main base. The spawning pool of course still isn't finished, but the scouting information is there to know that the command center is on its way down. There's no wall off either, so we'll be able to get in and see the double gas are being taken. That really just screams I'm going reactor Hellions. Be prepared for those Hellions when they do hit. 2 queens on the way, 6 Zerglings coming in as well. Those 6 Zerglings, again, that's quite a lot. Usually 10 definitely a lot of Zerglings, so going to be a bit of pressure out of RenegaDe here. Just going to try and annoy this natural base, and I think that can be a good move because there's nothing really going to be there to defend against that at the moment. There's no bunker down. That's the critical thing I see missing. So many Terran players now, just as soon as the command center is thrown down, they instantly throw down a bunker just to make sure that things are nice and safe. The Marines can defend against Zergling pressures. So this could be quite interesting to see how Select actually goes about defending it. But for the moment he's getting that factory coming down. The reactor should start, and he is literally going to have just those 2 Marines. Is it really just 2 Marines? Because that is going to be so difficult. Just 2 Marines out, and now the reactor side. These 10 Zerglings could be so effective. They do get in front of the Marines, but can they get us around? That is the important thing. For the moment, the Marines are running away. Just got a couple of Zerglings chasing them. No way to get through this wall for the moment. There's also no additional units there. Now, the Marines have been cleaned up. What damage can RenegaDe do here? Select doesn't have to panic too much, except that reactor could very conceivably go down. Building a engineering base just to complete the wall off even longer. And, well, the Marine... no other units are coming out, and that reactor is definitely going to fall, and that in itself is a big delay. But there's a lift allowing the repair. That is ingenious out of Select. It's something which, well, 9 out of 10 people wouldn't think to do, but of course the important thing to note is that while there is a Hellion on its way, that reactor could still potentially fall. It's getting very low. How is it staying up? I do not know, but it is ridiculously close. But of course now that Hellion is out, the Zerglings will be forced to pull back. But how many SCVs were there? There's a grand total of 5 of them. So that's 5 SCVs that are repairing for a long time and therefore not mining. Now it's quite a big delay. The rest of the Zerglings are running away, just 1 staying there at the moment. If we look at the worker count, it's 35 to 25 in RenegaDe's favour. He's also just started his 3rd base, and that really went well. I mean, I know he didn't do any damage as such, but just the delay he caused was absolutely huge. It was an absolutely massive time where neither player was really going too hard. Now we do have the star pod on the way as well as the tech lab, so a very common follow-up to react to Hellions is to get Banshees out, because essentially the Hellions come in the front and the Banshee comes into the dead space at the back, and it's difficult to really deal with both of those things. Now what I would love to point out here from RenegaDe is that he's got 2 queens that are doing nothing but spreading creep, and as a result, look at all these creep tumors, look at all the creep spread, and really that's going to spread across the map so quickly, and I've got to love it because it's awesome. Now this supply depot actually take quite a lot of damage. Now needs to be careful. The Hellions do manage to pick it up and a couple of SCVs come to repair it, but that again is annoying. It's lost mining time for Select there, and all in all I'd say RenegaDe is coming really quite well in this match. I mean, he's got obviously that spine crawler coming up, the third base nearly finished, cloak on the way. That's a big investment from Select, and I must say personally I think that as a Terran, if you're going for quite a few Hellions, which obviously Select is, then don't go for cloak as well. It's too much of an investment, and if your opponent has gone lair or even just gets up a spore crawler, that then makes the Banshee so much, well, so much less cost effective if it is countered, whereas if you just allow it to come out, that's fine. Lots of those drones lining up there, but so many queens out actually. This is really nice, and really all of that is really going for Select is if he does have cloak, and of course RenegaDe doesn't get kind of any detection out before that point, because really with that many queens, Banshees will get shut down very easily. Select dealing good damage though, killed 9 workers. Zerglings are on their way back though, a double Evo chamber on their way, so this is very kind of Spanishi style. You get lots of queens and not much else, lots of drones, probably going to see quite quick infester tech, that's what I'd imagine. A macro hatch is on its way as well. If we look back at Select space, he is clearly planning on going mech with the double armory, so that is an interesting build by itself. There comes the second factory, the third base on its way. Now the Banshee is in play. What is it going to do? The spore crawlers are coming down though. A spore crawler already there at the main base. The natural should be pretty defended, but there is a spore crawler coming down, and of course a spore crawler at the third. So RenegaDe just playing so well here, really countering that Banshee, and that's exactly what I was saying. Getting the cloak essentially means there was a lot of a time delay and also a lot of resources committed to getting cloak, which in all honesty is pretty much useless now. He may get a few lucky kills, but it'll be nothing too good, so this is all a big commitment that isn't doing much at the moment. Now if we look back here, a supply depot wall-off has been completely formed. We're going to have 3 factories shortly. They should get tech labs on them. No upgrades started from the armory yet, which I'm quite surprised at. You want to start those upgrades quite early, just as RenegaDe has. Now obviously the double click Banshee there, forcing all these units to pull back. A scan goes off, picking up a lot of creep tumors. That is going to be exceptionally frustrating. But of course, until there is lair down, there's no movable detection. These Zerglings though are able to get a surround on the Hellions. That is incredibly frustrating. Zerglings should never be able to kill Hellions. And unfortunately, if you do start losing them to Zerglings, you end up with big problems. But good kiting out of Select at the moment. The Banshees are able to rack up an awful lot of kills. Being kept cloaked though, which possibly isn't the best thing because it's not needed in that position because there's nothing that can attack up. The 1-1 vehicle upgrades on the way for Select. RenegaDe nearly finished with the 1-1 melee upgrades. He's got more units streaming in, very Zergling heavy, getting his 5th and 6th gas now as well. And I'm just taking a quick look at what else is going on. Well, for the moment, not too much, in all honesty. There's a little bit of movement around here. The Hellions just making sure they're keeping an eye on stuff. The third base is obviously up and morphing into an orbital command for Select. Macro hatch is in play, and well, RenegaDe, he came off well though in my opinion. Yes, he lost nearly double the resources, but nothing too bad happened. We've got a handful of those Banshee milling around, but of course Spore Crawler is not anywhere near this third base. The infestation pit already on its way down. An Overseer is out though, so that is going to really start shutting down the Banshees, unless of course some start attacking the third, some start attacking the main, or vice versa. Now obviously these Zerglings are going to have to start doing some damage. There's a big commitment of Zerglings here. 2-2 already on the way out. The Baneling finished, as well as Baneling's speed. Banelings probably won't be used too much this game unless there's an awful lot of Hellions made, which again is plausible. In mech it's a good mineral dump, but to be honest, Blue Flame hasn't even been researched yet, so I doubt we'll be seeing too many Hellions too soon, so perhaps getting those Banelings out is purely for Baneling busts and things like that through wall-offs. The third base quite vulnerable. I'm surprised the Zerglings haven't even gone and checked down there yet, but one will now run in, and we may actually see RenegaDe pull all of his Zerglings back and come and attack this third base, because it is a vulnerability, to be honest. For the moment though, all these Zerglings coming back to the base. The creep spread still going very nicely indeed. A couple more creep tumors chucked down. A 4th base coming out here for RenegaDe as we speak. A lot of units now coming down in order to defend that. Now Thors are out, but there's very few siege tanks now. This is unfortunate. There's 2 siege tanks out now. I'm not quite sure where they're going, but they are going somewhere indeed. As you do, siege tanks, that's all cool. Anyway, what needed is a roach one, which has literally just been started now. I don't know if any of the tanks were spotted, but it does mean that, of course, roaches are good against Thors, but not so good against tanks. If there's more tanks, you want to lower the roach numbers. If there's more Thors, you get higher numbers of roaches. Hive on the way. I really think that as well as pathogen glands, it's worthwhile against mech getting neural parasite, because if you do manage to get the neural off on a Thor, it's really powerful. Or indeed a siege tank, it can be very potent indeed, so definitely worthwhile researching them. Blue Flame is on its way out for those Hellions there. We do have a lot of Spine Crawlers being produced just around this 4th base, trying to be more defensive. I heard some Hellions going for something there, I'm not quite sure where, but they were definitely killing stuff. We've got a lot of Zerglings now running around the edge of the map, but there's a handful of units there. The Hellions are, of course, going to have Blue Flame kicking in now, which means they will literally melt through all of those stuff. And did a siege tank fire actually just kill a building before Cancer was able to go off? I am not sure. Anyway, Select there is chucking down a lot more command centers, because that's just what you do in mech. You get too many minerals, so you may as well build loads of command centers and orbital commands and planetary fortresses. Adrenal glands on the way, as well as that Ultralisk cavern. So again, that is just sensible moves. Ultras come out very, very quickly in this situation. Also, you've already got the 3-3 upgrades on their way. You've already committed to the melee upgrades, so why not just go for it? A lot of Zerglings, and I must say, that group of Hellions could get picked off very easily. Needs to be careful. The Hellions are the problem at the moment. Perhaps morph in a handful of Banelings. That could be potent. A 5th base coming out now, because obviously in reaction to the 4th base from Select. So this is now turning into a very good macro game, but Select is reaching that critical 200 of 200 supply, the point at which mech becomes nearly unstoppable. And the big concern I've got is there's just not enough roaches. Yes, there's infestors, they get a good hit down on a couple of Hellions. They need fungal growth, those Hellions, incredibly well to prevent them just completely decimating all of the Zerglings, but this push still moving forward. The tanks are sieged up in a good position at the moment, and well, these Hellions are exposed to getting fungaled, but of course the siege tanks are laying down the covering fire. RenegaDe may even have to sacrifice this center base. It is always a possibility to just basically come out better by leaving it, and that looks like what he's going to do, bringing all of those workers back, regrouping, getting all of his units together. A couple of Ultralisks popping some more on the way. The 3-3 upgrades won't be done in time, nor even will the Ultra Armor upgrade. Quite a few infested Terrans getting lobbed down there. The Thors should get cleaned up quite comfortably now. The siege tanks, of course, able to deal an awful lot of damage. Fungal growth need to start going down on the Hellions, and just like that they go. Bam from RenegaDe, that was good. Select, he's still moving forward, he's still trying to keep the momentum with this push. Some additional Thors coming, but without the tanks now, this could be really difficult to deal with. Now, the only upgrade missing is, as I said earlier, I'd love to see Neural Parasite. I think it is very strong against mech, because there are just a few units which are very, very powerful. RenegaDe just needs to find a better way to deal with these Hellions, really. That's the pain in his side at the moment, and getting lots of Ultralisks is actually quite a good solution to that. They are 4-2 Ultras already. The 3-3 upgrades will be kicking in shortly. That will make things a lot stronger on the side of RenegaDe. He's really quite low in terms of the Zergling count at the moment, only 23, and very, well actually no, he's not high on minerals. He's suffering because he's not using this top base at the moment, but of course, as we see here, Select is now on 5 bases with a planetary fortress in the middle, and that in itself is a very dangerous point to be, because Select is going to have so much money, he can really start ramping up his production capability should he want to. Getting those starports now, you may be thinking, why does he want starports now? It's because Broodlords are very likely. Broodlords are another tech switch, obviously Zerg can use to try and deal with mech late game, and if you already have the starports, you can get those Vikings out so fast and really just shut that down. So I must say Select's play right now is very good. Both players are getting to a danger point though where they could just allow their opponents to get too much stuff. If you just sit back and don't engage and allow your enemy to build whatever they want to, it can work out a bit badly for you. Obviously there is an Overseer there, but all that can really be used to pick off that Banshee is Chain Fungal and Infested Terrans, which is not a very cost efficient way of dealing with it. But, well, it's a very cost efficient way of dealing with it, but I mean, it's not a very energy efficient way of dealing with it. It's a couple of missile towers coming down, a sensor tower as well, just so Select knows exactly his opponent's movements. And I think that's a great move to avoid burrowed infestors. They could be a threat. A lot of Hellions getting completely not closed down there That was ridiculous. So, like, Select just like, they should die, but no! Apparently Renegade is just completely unaware that a whole group of Hellions walk past his army, and, well, they're toasting an awful lot of drones. Drone count now is 57 to 80 SCVs in Select's favour, so Select has got an absolutely incredible economy. I mean, if we look at this, that is really dominating, especially the gas income. That is absolutely huge. No attempt to retake the centre base just until now from Renegade, possibly a bit late. Ravens coming out there, of course, a great thing to add into the late game. Just so many Thors. Neural Parasite is nearly done though, so if all of those investors can grab a Thor, maybe it can work out okay. Maybe it can be the happy ever after. Quite a few Banelings on their way in. Of course, the Banelings will absolutely evaporate through those Hellions because, well, at the end of the day, Banelings deal bonus damage to light units, which Hellions are. Zerglings are trying to get in. They need to be careful though. And here we go. We've got massive engagement. Everything going crazy. We've got some neural parasites going on, picking up some Thors as quickly as they can. And well, Renegade engaging really nicely at the moment. Some infested Terrans getting locked down everywhere, but unfortunately the infestors are getting cleaned up, and so those Thors are able to get back into control of their rightful owner Select, and of course the tanks are still shelling from great spreading, and there is the GG from Renegade, who knows he just can't come back from that big endgame engagement. So Select really playing beautifully there. Now guys, if you like the cast, please thumbs up the video, subscribe because I get new games up every day, and leave a cool comment. And as well, if you could follow me on Twitter, that would be great. And well, flick over to my channel to watch some more StarCraft, and if you've watched all of my games, then I will see you tomorrow for yet another new one. Thanks for watching everyone, I am Madals, and this was an SC2 England cast. Bye for now.